So Abrar had asked for importance of cloud native and what is the role of cloud native in telecom, considering all the development that are going on. So let me explain what cloud native is and how it is important. But to understand it, let's get a step back and understand what are various advancement in I would say compute and you can say how we deploy applications. So first and foremost, a few years back, we had a concept of agile. Now with agile, teams had become uh, very close, and they had decided into a smaller deployment cycle and everything to be done by themselves. So the key aspect is smaller development and deployment cycle, which means they are working on new features. If we talk about features, right, feature can be any capability, and they are deploying these features very, frequently. All right. So the frequent deployment is very important. Frequent deployment. If we talk about, there are a lot of type of agile. You can say, for example, we have Scrum, we have XP, these frameworks. So if we talk about Scrum, if we talk about XP, all these frameworks. So I'll just take an example of a deployment cycle of 14 days. And this is 14 days. For example, in XP, you deploy it daily, right? You deploy the code daily. In Scrum, you have around 14 to 14 day, or you can say release cycle. You can have a 1 month or release cycle as well. So it depends on team to team. So I will take an example of 14 days of release cycle. Now, if we talk about how we are going to deploy, so we have infrastructure here, right? Suppose we need, as I given the example of e-commerce website, right? So if we talk about e-commerce or we talk about telecom, suppose there is a new feature in telecom that we have developed and we need to deploy it in our infrastructure. Now that infrastructure, if we talk about, is dependent on this cloud network. And this cloud network, we have some virtual machines. We'll talk about virtual machines later as well, but you think of it as we have defined some virtual machines. Now, if we talk about in data center, to create your server, to create your compute, to create a new memory, it will take maybe a number of days, right? And if we talk about in virtualized, you can say virtual network functions or virtualized infrastructure, it will take n number of hours. It will take n number of hours. So if we talk about this, you can say Scrum and XP, right? The frequency has now increased to 14 days, which is good. We can now deploy virtualized network functions in n number of hours. But still, the resource utilization is very low. Utilization is low. All right, because what we are spinning up, you can say virtual machine based on dimensioning. That we predict, okay, in the you can say in the high traffic time, we would require 4 number of virtual CPUs or maybe 8 number of virtual CPUs. So we deploy accordingly, right? And then we scale it up vertically. The second aspect is why we moved to cloud native was because if we talk about hybrid cloud or multi-cloud environment, right? For example, if we have a private cloud, right? For example, I have OpenStack, right? And then I have some of the services in AWS. Or maybe in multi-cloud, we have AWS, GCP, and Azure. I have to use all the three services. Now, all OpenStack will have some different type of services that they are providing, different API to use compute. AWS will have similarly different type of services and different type of compute. And so is the case with AWS, GCP, and Azure. So the problem is that there is a limitation to use these multi-cloud environment and this private cloud environment. All right. So there are two important aspects. One is efficiency of resources with virtualization. Second is interoperability. All right, interoperability. So now comes you can say technology, which makes it simple. So rather than virtualized, we move to a concept called containers. What are containers? Containers are self-contained code which can be executed onto a restricted environment, which are logically separate from other, you can say, containers as well. So these use 0.5 vCPUs as well. You can have one vCPU as well. So they have a very little requirement. Now with containers, the deployment time has, if we talk about CNF on CNF, we move into n number of minutes. So you can spin up container in maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. If you have large number of dependency, you can take 15-20 minutes. You won't take hours, right? So now with containers, the deployment has become very easy, very you can say very quick as well. With containers, you have you can one more thing, that is disposable environment. This means you can create a container, you can run your test, and then you can delete the container, or you can uh, remove that container. All right. So your efficiency has increased, your deployment time has reduced, and then you can easily deploy the containers and dispose them as well. Now, suppose you have another version requirement, you can easily replace the containers. You can also, segregate traffic between older version of container and new version of container, so that you don't have to, replace the traffic at the time of your updates, right? Which is kind of canary deployment that we do. So these are two of the environment. Now, still, containers are, I would say, each cloud vendor provided different environment for their container, you can say, application. For example, in OpenStack, you can deploy containers. There's one more technology from OpenShift, which is for container management, which is specifically use Kubernetes. And then AWS has for Kubernetes EKS. And then similarly, GCP has their own Kubernetes environment, GKE, and Azure has AKS. So we come to a concept called Kubernetes. Kubernetes came from, you can say, Google, which were running thousands of, or you can say hundreds of container or millions of container at the same time, which means they were able to test their new features, they were able to deploy it easily, and then replace it. Now with Kubernetes, the concept is they took the containers to a next level, which means they have a simple concept of management and orchestration of containers. And also, they have a closely coupled containers which were inside pods. So a pod can have multiple containers as well. Now, what happened? This technology was, used as a basis of cloud native. So cloud native means that you are able to deploy containerized solutions irrespective of any environment. You can deploy it on our private cloud, you can deploy it on public cloud, and you don't need to know the underlying infrastructure details if you use cloud native. Now, where does it fit in telecom? With the advent of 5G, right? What was the key concept in 5G? It was SBI, service based interface. Now, in 4G, we still have network equipments. What were the network equipments? It was MME, right? For example, SMF, sorry, not SMF, sorry, SS, and then, yes, I think SMF, and all these network equipments, right? What we did in
Gateway,
5G, sorry,
yeah, in
yeah.
4G. Yeah.
So what we did in 5G, we simply we moved from network equipments to network functions. So now we didn't define, okay, we will have a network equipment, MME, and MME will have all these, you can say capabilities. No, we will have network functions. So what is the network functions? Like AMF, UPF, SF, SMF, etc. So these are the network functions. Now these network functions can be deployed into a simple service, right? And what is a service? If we talk about service-based architecture, any service, if we talk about a service X, it will take a request and it will process it and it will provide a response. So here we have our AMF, UPF, SMF, which will have the logic. They will take a request, they will process it based on their, you can say, defined, you can say capabilities, and then they will process it and then they will provide a response. So this is the SBI interfaces that has been defined in 5G. Now it helped in a concept called, which I think I missed to call out here, in containers, which is called microservices. So microservices means you split your architecture from a giant, you can say, it is called a pet versus cattle model, pet versus cattle. So think of it, if we talk about our RNC, right, or maybe a BSC, it was more of a, you can say pet. Pet means you have to take care of it, right? You have to, maintain it on a day-to-day basis. You have to monitor it, just like you take care of your pet, right? You have to monitor it, you have to feed it, you have to take care of it. Similarly, you had the network equipment, which were more of pet. But then we moved to a concept called cattle. Sorry. So we moved to a concept called cattle, where we had n number of, you can say, smaller components. What happened if some component failed? We would replace it with the similar component. So this is called pet versus cattle model. And similarly in microservices, we split the complete, I would say, a big logic into microservices. Sorry, and every service would have a simple and very minimal functionality, and only, I would say, a few things to do. Not a big logic, a few things to do. It's easily replaceable and easily, you can say, you can monitor it and easily replace it if required. Similarly, in 5G, we had these network functions. Now, what it meant that it has enabled us to move to a microservices based deployment. So this means we can have an AMF in terms of either a virtualized network function, we can have a VM with, you can say AMF, or we can have a containerized network function, CNF for AMF. Now, if it come to the RAN aspect, in RAN as well, if you think of it, we had defined RAN splits in 5G. And what does this RAN splits do? So RAN splits basically, you can say, segregates all the functionality of RAN into different, you can say, components, which can be adopted. If I just probably show you here, yeah. So if I just show you the various splits in RAN, let's zoom it here. So we had split all the, you can say, functionality in RAN into different network functions, right? RRC, PDCP, high RLC, low RLC. Now each of these functionality can be deployed as a microservice, right? Now, what it gives us a flexibility to deploy either of these functionality, either on public cloud, private cloud, on data center. We can deploy and everything into one, you can say, one equipment as well, or we can deploy them depending upon our requirement anyway. Now, still there are certain limitations. For example, your low physical and RF component has to be close to your antennas, right? which is why, which is because of latency requirements, right? And processing requirements for massive MIMO. So there are certain limitations, but still it has helped us to deploy these components into microservices or containers. And that's why cloud native, as I mentioned, right, it enables us to deploy into any of the deployment options, either it's a data center, public cloud, private cloud. And that's why you would see our network interfaces in 5G as well as in ORAN being split into different network functionalities. Is it clear?
Yeah. Mohit, thanks. Basically, what happens is that through because we treat everything as application now, and at the end of the day, split the application. You can have DB, you can have other parts of the application into the microservices, and then treat
Yes.
them as se- treat them separately, so that their time to deploy, and if there is some problem with some of the components, that can be sidelined, and then there might not be effect to any of the services. Yeah, that is an idea, uh, like how we're going for future networks. So thank you for this explanation. And with respect to the telco, you came up with this, like cloud native, trying like let us understand that how cloud native with respect to the telecom, the telecom. Thanks, thank you very much.
Tourist. Are there any other questions?
No, I think regarding the topic, I think this was the question. So now maybe are we just going to continue tomorrow with this?
I will have another session on next week. Uh, so we'll have weekly sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be depending upon how many people join. I will probably ask them to what are the time requirements. I would say preferences as well, and then
Mm-hmm.
probably I can align next sessions.
So not tomorrow, because earlier sessions, I think you were saying that there will be Saturday, Sunday. No?
No, no, only Saturdays. Only Saturdays,
Okay.
but one session in weekday as well.
Okay. Fine. So that means next week there will be some session in some
Yes.
day apart from Saturday.
Yes, apart from Saturday, there would be one more session. If depends upon how many people join, and if it would be less people, then probably I will continue only in weekend for maybe more number of hours.
Okay. Maybe we can continue for a weekend for few days if there are less